Hi everyone, Nick Thompson here from NEC, and thanks again for joining me on the SV9100 sales training course, and I'm going to be covering InGuard. Now InGuard is available on the SV9100 and the SL2100. I think it's important first of all we understand what toll fraud is and how the InGuard application can help and protect the customer. I'll give you a quick overview demonstration of the application and we'll follow up by looking at some useful information that is available for you. Okay, so what is toll fraud? Toll fraud is a massive global hacking threat. It's up 15% year on year. It's cost businesses over £50 billion. In the UK, £4.2 billion, and we're now the third most targeted country in the world. And it's estimated 84% of businesses that have no protection from being hacked onto their telephony platforms. The average cost to a customer that's been hacked is £10,000, and that is an average cost. And don't forget, they'll only find that out when they receive their telephone bill. So how do these hackers get in on the telephone system? They can get in on the auto attendant. So once the auto attendant has answered a call, effectively they're on the system. They can then look for another open port, and then they'll be able to sell the traffic through the phone system to the black market. The most popular way of being hacked is quite understandably via the IP network. So they can get in over the internet, they can find an open IP or SIP port and break out from that. Quite old-fashioned, but it still happens these days. People can hack your voicemail. So again, your voicemail is open for remote access, so you can retrieve your voicemails. Again, someone can get in on your voicemail box. They may be able to get out of the voicemail box and back out through the phone system again, resell the ability to sell traffic through the phone system. It's even been known for hackers to get in over the remote maintenance port. Again, it's just a port on the system. So this is where your engineers dial into one of your customers to do some moves and changes. If the password is still in default, again, that's an easy in for someone that knows what they're doing. Or quite simply, people can hack straight over the telephone lines, even analog, RCN or digital lines, but especially SIP trunks for obvious reasons. That's connected to the IP network. Now, this is an automated thing. It isn't someone that sat there with a laptop on their lap, although that does happen. These are huge servers spread across the world. It's a very, very underground, organised crime, and these servers will find a way onto your network and then onto your CPU equipment. Now, once they get in on the phone system, they're not stupid. They don't want to start making hundreds of calls and busy the lines out, although, again, sometimes that does happen. But the organised ones will realise what country they're in and will usually sell the traffic out of working hours. And again, the only time you'll find that out is when you get your telephone bill. Okay, so we have a solution that will add a layer of protection for the customer called InGuard. Okay, so what is InGuard then? InGuard is another fantastic built-in application on the processor, so there's no need for any external servers or hardware or PCs for the customer. This is built into the telephone system and the end user accesses that through their browser on their PC or their laptop. So they purchase the InGuard license and your engineering department will install that software onto the processor. It's very important to note now that this is a customer application and they should program the InGuard application. I'll explain why. Because if your engineer installs the software and configures the software and the customer does get hacked, because let's face it, nothing these days is 100% hack proof. Yeah, and they do get hacked and they have a massive amount of money on their telephone bill, they will simply turn around to you and say, well, you told us we had toll fraud protection, pay our bill. So I'm not saying that they will get hacked, I'm saying that this has to be programmed by the customer. It's their responsibility. But it's a very easy application to set up, and you'll see that when I show you the live application, and there's plenty of user guides and help files within the actual application itself. So how does InGuard work before I show you the live demonstration? Well, the way it works is it monitors all call activity in and out of the business 24/7, 365, as long as that phone system is turned on. If it sees any suspicious activity out of the normal call patterns, it will detect that in real time and it will obviously raise an alarm. And the way it does that, it will send an email alert. We can have two email alerts, one warning you and then one saying that action has been taken. So it will either warn you and then block the calls, or you can actually allow the calls to continue by replying to the email. So it's a great system. Okay, so on that note, let me jump across onto my PC and I can show you a live demonstration of InGuard. Okay, so to access InGuard, you'd access it via your browser. I've got a shortcut up here called InGuard. It'll ask me for my username and password. And you sign in, and that will take you to the main configuration page. And let's not forget, this is for the customer to set this up. So the engineer will install the software and obviously license it and give them a shortcut to access this area here. In system, this is just where you can change some passwords. Email, you'll obviously need to put your email address in of where you want InGuard to notify you of when there is a warning or an alert or an alarm. So you can see down here we can put, and obviously that can be a group email as well, so it go to a number of people. So if you're using SMTP or even a POP3 account, you can put your email address in there. Down the bottom here, we have the system will send a heartbeat. Just to let you know that InGuard is still running and monitoring your system, and you can see here you can set the time range there, so you can notify every 24 hours or do not notify me at all, or every 10 minutes, whatever you want. So that's a great system. So that's where you put all your email details. InGuard needs to monitor the lines, it needs to monitor extensions, and we need to know when to monitor it. So we have time rules, time ranges, and then we actually need to set the parameters or rules that apply to those. So for example, if I click in lines, you can see this is just my demo system. You can see I want all my lines being monitored, and you can put them into groups if you really wanted to. Groups is more, or tags as we call them, is more relevant to the extensions. So we go in extensions, you can see there's all the people within my organisation and their extension number and what type of telephones they are. So if we just wanted to monitor IP phones, then we could just monitor IP phones. If you just wanted to monitor analogue phones, for example. But the place that I really would use this is I can set up a new tag, and let's call this sales, for example. And now I can go through the list and say, these people, these members of staff are all in sales, and now we can set a different rule and different parameters, which we'll see in the next section, against sales. So it's good for things like high call rates. A high call rate is an indication of being hacked. So we could say that these people here, they make 20 calls a day or whatever, typically. But our sales team, especially if they were telesales, could be very, very high. So if we set, a high call rate of any more than 20 calls, and we want to be warned, this would obviously mess it up. So you could put these salespeople into a completely different group with different parameters. And that's the idea of that. So it's very straightforward. We then need to set up some time ranges. And you can see here I've got 3: anytime, working day and weekend. And you can obviously choose what the timings that they apply to. And then we can then assign the rules to these different times. So it all kind of comes clear really when we look at the rules, which is where it all happens. So for example here, I'm going to click on high call rate, and you can make different rules. You can make as many rules as you want. So we're looking at high call rate here. You can apply these filters. So if the sales team were there, you could apply those to the sales team. The operation is obviously extension call rate. Now here's where we applied the working time. So there you can see the working times ranges that we've created. So for the working day, we're going to look at high call rate for the working day, the window of 1 minute. So warn me if 1 call per minute is made. Just send me an email warning me. But if 10 calls are made within a window of 1 minute, then I want it to block those calls. And that really, the same thing applies for all the different conditions that you can have. So a really cool feature is the system health check. We click on system health check, press the check key there, and now InGuard is going to go away, read the system data, and it's going to inform us of where our strengths and weaknesses are within the configuration programming. So that's a great thing we can offer the customer to give them an advisory to say that they need to change their passwords, for example. So as you can see from here, this is now letting us know, obviously in kind of traffic light system, where red is obviously definitely needs checking, and kind of right the way through to green, which is okay. So you can see here that the default system password, again it's just my demo system, but the default system password would need changing, right the way down to even the SIP terminal. So the password on the actual individual's IP handsets would also need changing. But you can see there We've got some greens as well, so the Deezer password is fine and the walking toll restriction password is good, etc, etc. It'll also tell you how many ports are unused, and it will give you an indication of these unused ports as well, so you may want to lock those down. So that's a great feature on the system. We call it health check. So let's go back to the PowerPoint now and summarise. Okay, so this is going to give the customer ultimately peace of mind. It's going to be running 24/7, 365. There's no equipment or hardware needed, so there's no cost there. And more importantly, if it was on an external device, that device could obviously be corrupt or even get turned off, and then the application wouldn't be running. It's going to prevent, or as much as we can prevent, the system from being hacked, and obviously potentially saving the customer tens if not thousands of pounds. It's tailored around the business patterns and their trends. There's zero maintenance on it. It's very easy to use. And not only will it monitor external abuse coming into the system, but it will also prevent internal telephone abuse as well, because those extensions can be monitored as well. Easy software updates, and the great thing about this is it's built in to the NEC platform. Okay, so with regards to information, we've got an InGuard brochure there that's available on the NEC website and on NEC BusinessNet course, and there's also an InGuard info sheet. If you go onto YouTube, there's a nice video on InGuard as well. Just type in the search NEC Enterprise Solutions InGuard or even NEC InGuard, and you can see that. You could send that link to an end user, of course. And that just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time again. Any questions or even any suggestions, please do reach out to a member of the NEC sales team or even your NEC distributor. Thank you again.